Welcome to the broadcast, everybody, and greetings from my salon. More and more whispers emerge, don't they? And this time they've been emerging from Tom Quinn on the back of his new book, The Secret Life of Royal Servants, which I'm not recommending. I'm not convinced of his contacts and inside information. I can't say one way or the other, but he speaks of Meghan's manner in the early days of the relationship, once she was introduced to William and tried to jump him and his wife and smothered them with hugs and embraces, unwelcome, and then accused them of frigidity, or Catherine, the ice princess. No wonder she was an icicle in Meghan's presence. People shrivel up like a pair of balls in a frosty ocean. A pair of ball sacks in a frosty ocean when she's around because she's too much cloying, oiling her way in. You can't blame Catherine for freezing over like Elsa. Let it go, Meghan cries. No, we will not let it go while you're hopping around. Her manner, we are told, made William very uncomfortable, which was the exact opposite of what she was hoping. She hoped to arouse the boy. Yes, indeed. Not just to charm her way into the family, but she had hopes, once she saw the big Willie, to arouse the sleeping lion and make it roar as king of the jungle and become queen of this kingdom. Don't you dare not believe me. And don't you dare think that I'm exaggerating just because I'm camping it up. That's exactly what the girl wanted. And if you didn't, Meghan, if that was not your intention, sue me. Sue me! Because I am of the opinion that it was. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm entitled to my opinion. And from the whispers I've heard, my opinion stands firm. It stands on solid ground. She wanted to arouse the big Willie, because she was playing around with little hares, clawing her way up to where she thought she would find herself, on the throne beside William. It was not to be. And she had every wish to elicit jealousy in Catherine. That's the other part of this story. She wanted Catherine to be so jealous and turn her inside out with rage at the dazzling charm of the ingenue, the new ingenue, the sweet American girl from the immaculate fart that had landed. She failed in both of those missions. Failed. And in actual fact, that is exactly why we find ourselves in this situation where her nose was put even more out of joint. It is that, along with Harry, who in my opinion is just as culpable, and even more so because he should have known better and he was raised to know better. It's because in fact she did not arouse Big Willie's passions, and she did not make Catherine jealous. They failed in that mission. Therefore, the only thing they could do was try and pull them down and denigrate them and all the mischief that they got up to, smearing the reputation of the king and kingdom. They failed doing that as well. Flop, 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 flop. Belly flop after belly flop. Harry also wanted it because he wanted to boost his ego. Look at my arm candy, my American arm candy. Isn't she sweet? Oh, he hasn't got an American accent, has he? Has he? Look at my arm candy. Isn't she glorious? William's going to be so jealous. She's even hotter than Catherine. She's hotter than Kate. And Willie's going to be so annoyed because I'm the alpha one. No, lovey, no, lovey. She gave you the razzle-dazzle and focused in with her hypermaniac ways and her histrionic tendency and pressed your button right where you needed it to be pressed, because Mummy Dearest had a little bit of that in her as well, which you might have sensed. But she honed in on you like a charm. Oh my God, you're fascinating and you're really handsome. You know I loved redheads. In fact, I used to love a little comic strip boy called Archie. You like the name? Perhaps we could call it for us, our son, our future Prince Archie. Don't you think it's got a nice ring to it? And speaking of rings, where's mine? We've known each other at least 5 minutes. Let's not make it 6. Put a ring on this finger, and I'll put my finger in your... Let's not go there. the book says that this tactile manner that Meghan had made William uncomfortable because Meghan hugged him virtually every time they bumped into each other. The hugging and cheek kissing fueled gossip among the staff that Meghan was flirting with William, which she obviously was not. They have to put that in there because of the libel laws. She obviously was not, but the tense atmosphere caused by all the touchy-feeliness and the resultant gossip deepened the rift between the brothers. Well, I've shared with you some of the psychological insight into the impulse for all of these hugs, encroaching on people's physical space as she does. And I speak as somebody who is a very huggy person myself, and I'm quite tactile, so I can understand it in certain conditions. But with Meghan, she is scenting. She is scenting, rubbing up against certain things and certain people, spreading the scent. It's a very deeply animalistic way to go about, like a skunk, spraying and scenting, greasing up the poles, making herself known so that even when she's not in the room and she's been spraying herself with Diana's old perfume, the scent will still linger on whoever she's been hugging, William or Catherine, always there, scenting. And it's quite unsavoury. And the entire fallout that then ensued was because William did not take the bait. Even Prince Andrew gave her a wide berth, from what I hear at Royal Lodge. Even Prince Andrew she couldn't get a rise out of, despite Harry telling us, oh yeah, the men were all very excited, all the royal men. Most unregally insinuating that all the members of the royal family, the late Prince Philip was walking around with a because of Meghan, because she happened to be in his presence. What a thing to suggest. And as for Edward, I do not think so. He has a golden trophy by the name of Sophie, and he is a steady Eddie. So no tent was pitched in the Duchess's presence, or the young, eager fiancée and wife-in-waiting as she was. No. Sent or no scent, she was sent away and sent packing. But it becomes clear that she just has to be the star of the show, doesn't she? She is not satisfied unless she's the star of the story, and I'm gonna strut right in there. Somehow it's done. Always makes herself the centre of attention, as we saw in the recent the video on her Instagram that we spoke of in the last broadcast, and I appreciated many of your comments who noticed so much about her behaviour, that histrionic bent of hers that she has, and also wearing the children's names around the collar of her neck, whatever it was, Archie and Lilibet, emblazoned. So studied, isn't it? So studied and contrived. And yes, she was indeed very yappy in that video, and in every video, like a yappy dog, up and down, and so infantile. And I'm not saying that having a youthful spirit is undesirable, not so ever, but there is a difference between childlike and childish, and what I saw and what many of you saw was childishness. Can you imagine any other royal in their mid-40s or even mid-30s or even mid-20s? Can you imagine anybody else, a mature adult, working themselves up into a lather and a frenzy over this Billie Eilish fiasco? And making it seem like it was going to be really hard work to get the package together. Of course, Billie Eilish or whoever is going to be jumping at her command because she's married to Harry, who's related to the king. Not because she's Meghan. Not because she's dirty. Not because she's clean. My mum says you're the fairy queen. But we do not think you're the fairy queen. I am the fairy queen around here. Do you understand? My new chair is rather comfortable, by the way. I hope you love it. I shouldn't lean forward so much, but I'm still getting used to the acoustics. Smiling Llama says, Catherine didn't have George, Charlotte and Louis embroidered on her shirt with her hair tucked into her collar to make sure Archie and Lilibet is seen by all. Phony. We see right through it, don't we? You certainly do. It's quite embarrassing. Quite embarrassing. But the Harkles arrived in Canada today, as I'm sure you're aware. My sympathies to Canadian fruits. This is for Invictus, of course. They took the 2.5-hour flight out of Santa Barbara and arrived in your land, one of the King's realms, by private jet, I'm pretty sure. This is the 5th time they'll be attending Invictus as a couple. They attended in Sydney, in Dusseldorf, and The Hague was the other one. And I send my every good wish to the contestants, the competitors of Invictus, the very brave soldiers and their families. Many of them adore Harry and Meghan and what they're doing. Others are more suspicious. But as much as we send every good wish for this extremely worthwhile event, Harry takes all the credit for, I also express every displeasure towards the Harkles' hijacking of royal kudos to piggyback their popularity, because every time it happens, it's turned into this worldwide privacy tour of theirs, complete with costume changes all throughout the day for Meghan, and taken attention-seeking, attention-grabbing escapades with the excuse that it's all for a good cause, all for Invictus, when it's entirely unnecessary to behave in such a vulgar way. Me. Gain, 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 gain. Me, gain. What am I going to gain, Harry? What you're going to gain, my dear, is disdain. Because the world is not as stupid as you seem to think and seem to assume. Do you understand? The opening ceremony of the games is tomorrow, and he's roped in Katy Perry and Chris Martin and Nelly Furtado. Is this the year 2000 again or something? Katy Perry, Chris Martin and Nelly Furtado. Well, all very well and good, but Harry is the only Nelly in this arena. And I don't care to think about what he's doing with his Furtados. He can keep his Furtados to himself. Well, we're going to be seeing both of them basking in the glory of other people's achievements, aren't we? Over the next few days. Basking in it. Okay, let's have a little bit of a royal romper before we move on to a little bit of a chinwag, and I can show you some more of your keepsake vignettes and tableaus. The King has been mingling with the Polish community in Hammersmith, which is a part of London, at the Polish Social and Cultural Association that was founded in 1967 and is the largest Polish centre in Europe. The Polish have descended here into the kingdom in vast numbers over the last couple of decades, haven't they? Well, now it's Poland, actually, that has the economic advantage. They're doing very well, a very prosperous country, while our own kingdom and our own attractiveness as a nation, financially speaking, fiscally speaking, dwindles and diminishes. Ain't that rich? Yep, spins on a dime. And a lot of it's to do with all of this DEI sophistry and working from home, that culture. I'm sure that most of you here in the kingdom work at home these days, and I'm not disparaging you. I don't blame you. And I work out of home a great deal. So don't get it twisted, but what I will say, that when I was on the phone to some contact centre, something or other, you know, I'm dealing with a lot with bills and deliveries, and this goes on every time. I am sick to death of someone answering the phone with babies screaming in the background. You can tell that they've got half a sandwich hanging out of their mouth. They're probably sitting on the toilet. They're surrounded by kids. This happens every time I call up. Every time. It just takes half an hour to get through, 40 minutes to get through. Then someone will pick up, usually with an accent that's hard to decipher, and it's not something that I think is the way forward for civilization and for society, I'm afraid. No, no. And I certainly did my years schlepping in and out of the office and tubing it and rat racing it. So I can understand why people aren't keen to return to their desks and their jobs, but I certainly think there needs to be a bit of a rebalancing going on here and there. Anyway, this Polish centre that the King was at provides a space to celebrate and to promote Polish culture. Here is Prince William, and he's looking like a geography teacher during the summer holidays, isn't he, my dears, with that beard and cardi. Actually, I rather like the cardi, but I wish the beard would go. Anyway, he was at Windsor Castle, where the Prince of Wales welcomed winners of the Blue Peter Earthshot competition. And these youngsters, aged from 5 to 15, had been challenged to come up with an idea to save the planet. And it appears that they did just that, doesn't it, my dears? With over 2,000 entries from across the kingdom, full of ideas they are, and inventions from these young minds. Very encouraging, very inspiring, and very royal. Queen Camilla has been enjoying a sojourn to Exeter to meet the people of Exeter, and she was at the Royal Devon University Healthcare Foundation Trust, and the Queen was in Sherwood Green as she opened a referral centre for sexual assault, and it offers medical, practical and emotional support. Her Majesty toured the facilities and met with dedicated staff who offer compassionate care to all and sundry, whoever walks through the door. The popular nationwide initiative, inspired by Queen Camilla herself, of providing useful wash bags to help restore dignity after harrowing moments, was discussed. And she attended a dinner celebrating the work of the London Library, highlighting their charitable work to support writers and widen access to its vast resources, including the 1 million books available to borrow from its shelves. And as patron, the Queen has supported the library for 13 years and is a passionate champion of the joy of reading. She spoke with the library's president, Helly Bonham Carter, and the guest speaker, Sir Stephen Smallfry. At CoLab in Exeter, the Queen sniffed around this multi-agency hub where organisations unite to support health, well-being, learning, mental health, housing and homelessness services. And isn't the brooch, the bee brooch, absolutely fun? Bzzz! Ooh, and I thought that was Sarah Gilbert there, the one with the curly hair for a moment. That's Sarah Gilbert. You remember she threw Roseanne under the bus, didn't she? That's Sarah Gilbert. Threw Roseanne under the bus. Traitor. The people of Italy have something to look forward to, truly, because their Majesties will be undertaking state visits to the Holy See and Italy in early April. They will join His Holiness Pope Francis in celebrating the Jubilee year of the Catholic Church. Engagements will be undertaken in Rome and Ravenna, celebrating the strong bilateral relationship between Italy and the Kingdom. Well, that's something to look forward to, isn't it, my dears? A little bit of glamour in Italy. That's enough royal business for today. I would like to show you a few more keepsakes, if you want to hang around, that have been received by basketeers all over the world. This is just a small selection of the ones that have gone out. Some of you have sent in photographs of your vignettes, or tableaus, as one of you said, which is more correct really than vignettes, but I like to camp everything up, don't I, my dear? Thank you for sending them in anyway. And I will repeat, for those of you who sent in an email requesting a keepsake, a million apologies for not getting back to everyone. We haven't even opened most of the emails that came in. We've only been able to respond to about the 10th of them, so that we don't confuse ourselves, and have now issued the keepsakes to everybody that's paid. We're waiting for everybody to get back to us to confirm that they've all been received, and we're hoping to be able to replenish various bits of the stock, such as the golden pear embossments and the avatar profile picture embossments, and, you know, stationery and stuff, my dear. But it's not an immediate thing. I know some of you sort of champing at the bit to get hold of yours. Hopefully in time we will be able to supply, but please don't take any silence in response as arrogance or rudeness. It is not that. It is simply that the demand way outstripped the supply. My expectations, to be quite honest with you, my dear. This one was from Judy, who shared this glorious photo featuring an antiqued golden pear, similar to the one that I've got actually, which is lovely. Thank you very much, Judy. Looks delicious, wonderful. This one is from Tammy, who's placed me on what she calls her Queen shelf, alongside Queen Elizabeth, the Platinum Jubilee felted wool mouse. These all tickle me so very much. I really am very flattered and very honoured. It's really, really wonderful. She says, now I have my two favourite queens alongside one another and the bride dolls of Catherine and Diana, after whom my daughter is named. Wow. Fabulous, fabulous frame that you found for your photograph, by the way. Really, really good. Splendid. What a find. And as I say, I'm really honoured to be situated in it. And Pamela here says, I was so thrilled to find a beautiful envelope in my mail yesterday. The presentation was elegant, and knowing that you have shared some treasures of yours made the contents extra special. Well, thank you, my dear. Someone did rather unkindly say to me, all you have to do is take a screenshot there, and then you don't have to bother ordering or paying for a keepsake. Well, you can, yes. Screenshot away, my dear, if that takes your fancy. If you really enjoy taking a screenshot of something and printing it out and putting it up of a person that you disparage in the comments. Yeah, anyone can go ahead and do that for free and gratis, my dear. Of course they can. I'm not stopping you, but you will never experience the same delight that Pamela and Tammy and Judy and other basketeers are experiencing of receiving a handwritten envelope from me, for a start. This is from me we're talking about. River. The thrill of seeing our mascot, the golden pear, in its embossment on either scarlet or royal purple envelopes, and the thrill and the excitement of opening it. Some people have even waited overnight to open it in the morning after they've received it because they're so excited they want to share the moment with other people. And then pulling out my personal regards, my greetings, and receiving my autograph, receiving a stunning photo that's been rapturously received together with my mementos and souvenirs. It is an experience that is, what? The other day I got a takeaway for two, which cost more for a takeaway for two that's gulped down in 5 minutes. This lasts for many years and is a special moment. So if you can't get in the spirit of that, that's absolutely fine, my dear. Take your screenshots, but shut up. And leave the rest of us to channel the royal spirit and have some fun, do you understand? Did I interrupt you, Pamela, dear? The presentation was elegant, and knowing that you have shared treasures of yours made the contents extra special. I have placed them with treasures of my British mum's collection that I now cherish. And then we have Amy, who sent in her tableau, which is quite stunning, isn't it? That figurine, quite stunning. But what actually captivated me was your wall, Amy dear. Could you explain to me what's going on with the wall? I love it. I love the colouring of it, the natural feel, cracks, really gorgeous. I actually love the look of raw plaster. My fireplace, you can't see very well, actually, it's got just raw concrete in it, but actually I'm not going to change it because it looks a bit like raw plastery. I can't explain the feel, but you know, sort of like a natural cavern, my dear, which is rather nice. But I really liked that. Nice tableau. And from Jennifer here, displayed on a cosy scarf, and I love the fruity greens and the fruity reds of the scarf, Jenny dear. Like sweet flowers blooming, though winter is o'er me, the light of remembrance at Christmas is sweet. Then let the warm grasp of my heart go before me, to keep me a place in thy thoughts till we meet. Amma's picture of the ephemera that came with the keepsakes is displayed here on the serene, fresh heights of Toronto. A different scene there, but lovely. I really love, I remember that memento I sent you, dear, because I think you asked for neutral keepsakes if possible because of your decoration. Most of them had colour, I'm afraid, my dear, but I thought that one was rather serene and different. Really lovely boating scene there, rather tranquil. I think you were quite lucky to get that one, actually. I think it makes a nice addition to any room. I hope you enjoy it, together with some Christmas pansies. Pansies for thoughts. Pensées for thoughts. And for those of you who are interested in my furnishing journey, let's have a quick chimag about that, my dear. I know that last time you saw the wall behind me, it was blue. Now it's blue and pink. I'm experimenting, I'm swatching. It's not permanent. Nothing that you see here is going to be permanent because I'm going to be experimenting and finding my way in this room for months as it reveals itself to me. So that is a test. It looks glorious in this scene, actually, from what I can see on the viewfinder, or whatever it's called, the monitor. Looks really rather lovely, doesn't it? They all look quite different in the flesh, and one of the things that looks very different, as I mentioned last time, I took receipt of this lovely armchair. I'm so happy with it. I've got to get the seats reupholstered. It's a little tricky, but very comfortable actually to sit in and broadcast. But it's not what I expected. It's pale gold. It's not yellow, but it's a pale gold. I thought it would be cream, because when you take a photo of it in most lights, it does look creamy white. And the white was supposed to enhance my Barbara Cartland Canfield Place fantasy and go with the pale blues and the pinks, and then there was going to be white. You see, everything changed with my plans for this room, because originally the two main chairs I was going to have here was going to be a very dusty, faded, reddy pink Knoll sofa. Knoll as in Knole, after Knoll House, not a Parker Knoll. It was going to be a pink one of those, and grey velvet with gold gilding, large sofa. Both of them ended up being too large for this place, because you have to wriggle through various passages to get into this room, and it's not practical for them to come through the window, and I think they would have been too large anyway. So they went. This is when this came into play, the Aubusson tapestry sofa, which I really do like very much. But I was hoping the cream armchair that I thought I'd won at auction was going to offset it and bring some lightness into the room. Well, when this turned up, it was very pale gold. Goes beautifully with the Aubusson, doesn't it? Beautifully with the Aubusson. Absolutely perfect. Couldn't wish for a better match, but it has enhanced the yellow tones of the Aubusson. Do you see? They bring out the yellow tones in them together. And I don't really love, when it's off camera, the effect of the blues with these pale golds. The blue, which is more intense in reality, actually makes it gives me urine. It gives me urine. It turns the pale gold of these seats into a sort of stale urine, I'm afraid. On the seating parts especially, that I'm not keen on. So I'm afraid I've had to move my thoughts and reassess and reimagine what is going to happen in this room, because I'm not getting rid of these chairs, they're staying. So I have to structure the rest of the room around these furnishings, and the blue is going to have to change in some way. I'm going to experiment. I have been experimenting with a lighter blue with more grey in it. I thought about bringing sandy tones to the walls, even pale sandy, but I think I'll be able to do it with an even lighter blue and an even lighter pink maybe here and there, because it brings in some warmth and it also brings in a bit of joy. The lamp I showed you yesterday with the gold vine leaves, gold leaf, is now in the fireplace, out of the way, because I am sending it back. I really appreciated all of your wonderful comments, by the way, about my furnishings. I really enjoy it. Whether you like something or don't, it's all so helpful. It's so much food for thought, and I have for quite a few months now read every single comment that comes in. So don't think that your contribution isn't being noted, because it is. Once it's past my gatekeeper, then it is seen by me. Every single comment at the moment. I'm not saying that will always be the way, but I do see your comments, and it's appreciated, your input and your advice. And like me, many of you really loved that lamp, but also a few of you, like me, had noticed, and I noticed when I played it back in the video, that the stem and the stalk was out of place in this room. It was too thin, too hard, a little bit too tall, and I can do better. So I had to be ruthless and say, well, I love you, or I like you very much, but no, you're not right for this room. That's going to go back, and we're going to find different lamps for this room. Hopefully pleated and gathered. In the style that I rather like, but I've got a lot of thinking to do, walking around and thinking about the furnishings in this room to get it right, and it's all to do with the light and how it hits the walls in this room. There is a very large window, as I've told you, a large sash to the side of me, but it doesn't get an especial amount of light aside from in the mornings. And actually it was when it turned February last week that everything changed in this room, you see, because I'd only known this room in January, when I viewed it many months ago, but I'd only known it in January, and it was a cosy January, and the blue and the dark furnishings I had in here were beginning to suit the room. But I woke up on February the 1st or one of those, and all of a sudden the spring sunshine came through, and it changed everything, and it made me realise that although what we had and what we achieved here was cosy, it wasn't going to be effective throughout all the various seasons here in the kingdom, and I need something that's going to play well throughout the entire year. So I'm having fun playing with it, and if you've hung around listening to me gabble on, then I know that some of you are enjoying me just suss out what's going on in this room and how we can make it as pleasant as possible. But thank you most sincerely for bearing with me while I get myself sorted, which will take many months, possibly years, many months, might do. Oh, and I think I found something to go in the fireplace eventually, which will be an electric fire, but I found one that is black cast iron, very heavy, and it looks like it's very realistic with good flames. Things like might be a bit large for my fireplace, so that's the only quiz that I have. So because it would virtually fill the cavity in the fireplace, might be a bit on the large side, and it would be very heavy to have to send back. So I'm thinking that through, but it would certainly create a very cosy ambience with the flames in the background for sure. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, thank you for passing an idle moment with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next broadcast. Thank you for joining me here as I form and assemble my salon. I look forward to seeing you next time. Ta-ra and Godspeed.